Welcome to the prop drop for UFC Mexico, where we briefly go over every single matchup and I highlight my favorite props from each fight, whether it's for the fighter that I'm picking or if there are too good of odds to pass up on the other side of things. It might create a good hedge opportunity for anybody too heavy on the opposite side of things. So people loving the segment here. I'm very happy to do it for you guys. Obviously, I only used to cover the top 3 prop bets, and that was kind of harder to do, and that left a lot on the table. And kind of leaving some of these props on the table that I was not able to mention to you guys given the previous format that I used to have for the show. So I'm hoping you guys are enjoying this full card brief prop breakdown for you guys. So without further ado, let's get right into this bad boy. First matchup up, Austin Hubbard going up against, I want to say Yancy Mederos, but it's Markel Mederos. Fun matchup here. I love Hubbard as the underdog, and I think that his overall game here, body of work, will allow him to put together a good enough recipe for the judges to actually score this fight in his favor. I think he'll be competitive in the striking realm. I think he can mix in some grappling to really stifle the athletic advantage that Mederos will have in this matchup, and I think that will allow Hubbard to win this fight on the scorecards, which you can currently get at plus 230. On the flip side, I think Mederos has the power to potentially cause Hubbard some issues, so you can get him to win by knockout at plus 600, but again, I think his effectiveness in terms of landing that knockout will start to dwindle, especially with this fight being at elevation. And I think that Hubbard will put on a pace that Mederos will not be able to take or at least handle in the spot. So once again, Hubbard by decision, my favorite prop for that matchup. Next up, very fun matchup here between Jamal Emmers and Gabriel Miranda. I'm thinking violence all around in this spot. So starting off with the under 2.5 minus 180. I think that's a great line here. Under 1.5 plus 125. If you have one of those books that gives you an alternate total, the 1.5 is the way to go in my opinion. It's all because of Miranda. Gabriel Miranda, in my opinion, is the Brazilian Terrence McKinney. And why I say that is because 20 out of the 24 pro fights for Miranda have finished inside the distance, and all 20 of those fights have finished under 1.5 rounds. So you're getting plus money on that prop, but also for that extra safe 5 minutes to go for the 2.5. Minus 180 is still not too bad of a line. In terms of a specific prop here, Emmers by knockout plus 120. That's the one that I think ends up happening here. More specifically, Emmers by knockout round 1 plus 330. I'm fine with that as well. KO round 2 plus 500. That has some legs. The long shot one here that I really like is Miranda round 1 sub at plus 1600. 16 of his 17 professional wins have come by submission. So it's tough to pass up that number considering he gets the majority of his finishes in that first round. And again, plus 1,600 by submission, sign me up. Even if I'm picking against Miranda in the spot. All right, next up, Rafa Garcia going up against Vince Pichel. This is a fight that I think has scorecards written all over it. I'm thinking Garcia decision minus 150. Not a huge power puncher. Pichel obviously slowing down, but has great durability still at this point in his career. But I think we'll see Garcia mix it up with his striking and his grappling to end up getting the win on the scorecards. I don't like playing minus money on specific props, but again, for my favorite prop for this matchup, it will be Garcia by decision. On the flip side, Pichel by decision currently pays out plus 550, so that would probably be the best hedge opportunity. All right, next up, Lupito Godinez going up against Julia Polastri. Similar to the last fight here, I'm thinking decision all around. Godinez by decision, minus 155. Polastri by decision, plus 270. Neither of these women big finishers, especially when they're fighting this level of competition. Look for this to mainly take place in the grappling realm, where I think Godinez can do a good enough job in terms of outgrinding Polastri and winning it on the scorecards. Again, minus 155. All right, next up, Christian Rodriguez going up against Melquizael Costa. I love me some Rodriguez in this spot, and there's 2 spots specifically, prop-wise, that I'm aiming for this fight. I think he wins by decision. That's going to be my official prediction. So to get that number, you can currently get plus 145. But if I'm thinking that we get in a little bit more aggressive version of Rodriguez, he could land the knockout. I think he has this decided advantage in the striking realm here, as Costa way more of a kicker, a flat flashy kicker who eventually waits to get his opportunity for a level change to get fights to the ground. But I think Rodriguez will stifle all of that and then eventually get to his pressure striking game, where I think that, that step and knee, the combinations that he throws with, I think one of those can land cleanly enough and overwhelm Costa later on in this matchup. And for him to win by knockout is plus 900. Not a bad line there. On the flip side, Costa by submission plus 650. It's going to take a big brain fart again for Rodriguez to get caught in something by Costa. Again, I think his submission defense is very stellar. That Julian Rosa one, I think that was just a minor slip up. I'd be surprised if Costa catches him in anything, but if Costa does win this fight, it will likely be due to a submission. You can get that at plus 650. All right, next up, Atiba Gautier going up against Jose Daniel Medina. A slop fest of a fight here, if we're being honest, right? Gautier has some potential, but he's still a very raw athletic specimen who's still trying to figure out some of the technical aspects of the game. But I think that's going to be enough for him to land more damage throughout this fight, get some control time, and really grind out Medina, who very durable, very tough to put away, just as we saw in his last matchup against Zachary Reese, who's picked up his first win by decision over Medina. And that's what I'm thinking here from Gautier. Gautier by decision sits at plus 270. I was thinking we were going to get a bit, a better of a line there, but that's really not the case. So it's not, I'm not too crazy about that line, but I think it's worth a little bit of a poke. And then on the flip side, Medina, at altitude against an athletic specimen like Gautier, who will likely slow down later on in this matchup. Medina by knockout round 3 sits at plus 4,700. Not a bad hedge opportunity, right? Again, Medina is the Homer Simpson, essentially, of MMA, where he can take a shit kicking, but he might be able to come back late and get the finish here. So plus 4,700 as the round 3 KO hedge. Not a bad spot, but I'm thinking Gautier by decision. All right, next up, Edgar Chairez going up against CJ Vergara. Both guys quite tough. Vergara obviously got put away by Ramazan Temirov, who I think has much more power than Edgar Chairez. I think Chairez will just keep his foot on the gas here, utilize his aggressive striking Muay Thai approach, landing nasty knees and elbows. But I think Vergara will be slimy enough to just see the scorecards in this fight. So you can currently get Chairez by decision at plus 180. On the flip side, I don't think Vergara finishes Chairez. So I think even if he wins, it'll likely come on the scorecards, and that comes in at plus 430. Next up, Ronaldo Rodriguez going up against Kevin Borjas. Now, Rodriguez did miss weight, but I'm not sure it'll be that big of a detriment for him in this matchup. It was only by a pound. So we'll see how that actually affects him. But I think he'll still come out with his aggressive style. I think he'll be looking to eventually get this into the grappling realm, where I think he has a decided advantage in the jiu-jitsu realm. And I think from there he can actually find dominant positions, though, that will allow him to work to a spot where he can sink in a submission. And you can get Rodriguez by sub at plus 380, which I think is not too bad of a line here. On the flip side for Borjas, I think he can take advantage of some of the technical striking flaws in Rodriguez's game. I think, Borjas is the slightly better striker. Rodriguez just a little bit too wild, leaves many openings, just as we saw in the O'Day Osborne fight. So I think for Borjas, for him to win this fight, it probably comes by knockout, which currently sits at plus 500. The under 2.5 is also around plus 130, which I don't think is a bad look in this spot, considering how aggressive both guys normally fight. But I'm going to go Rodriguez by submission as my favorite prop in this matchup. All right, next up, David Martinez going up against Simon Oliveira. Martinez has a boatload of knockouts on his regional run. I think Martinez's footwork and the way he moves laterally will eventually allow him to set up that knockout shot here against Oliveira, who's going to be looking to dust off some ring rust after he has not competed since January of 2023. I think Oliveira will likely be looking to get to a grapple-heavy approach here, looking to utilize his aggressiveness to try to get this fight to the ground. But I think that will eventually lead to him getting caught heavily here by Martinez, who is, in my opinion, the much better striker, the cleaner striker, and a more precise striker, which will eventually lead to him landing that big shot and getting Oliveira out of there. So you can get Martinez by knockout at plus 145. On the flip side for Oliveira, if he is successful with getting this fight to the ground, which I just can't see happening, for him to win by submission is plus 750. So I think that wide line obviously entails, how risky and how difficult it would actually be for him to wrap up that submission. But I'm liking Martinez by knockout. Our next up, Raul Rosas Jr. going up against Vince Morales. I think this is a matchup that will primarily take place in the grappling realm, and I think we'll see good enough submission defense from Morales to keep Rosas working throughout this matchup, which will eventually lead to this fight eventually hitting the scorecards. I think we'll see Rosas Jr. win this fight by decision. You can get that at plus 105. There is a possibility that he's able to land the submission as well, considering how well versed he is on the mat, but I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt here to Morales, who has clearly been working on the grappling aspect of his game, hence why 3 of the 5 wins that he had between his UFC stints have come by choke. Gotta believe he's been working on that submission defense, but I don't think he'll be able to overcome the control and dominance of Rosas Jr. once this fight gets into the grappling realm. So Rosas Jr. by decision plus 105. If Morales does win this, I think it comes with him landing just a little bit more damage, and it still end up coming out on the scorecards, which comes in at plus 700. But again, I'm thinking Rosas Jr. here. All right, next up, Kelvin Gastelum going up against Joe Pyfer. Gastelum taking a ton of action over the last week or so. I saw him around plus 420. He dropped down to about plus 300. I think he's around plus 240 now. So a lot of people are trying to take the experience and durability of Gastelum here to try to wear down and wear out Joe Pyfer. I'm thinking Gastelum, survives that first round after a heavy onslaught by the bigger and tougher Joe Pyfer. But I think it's just a matter of time before Gastelum gets to his boxing game and his wrestling, which will eventually allow him to wear down Pyfer and win this fight on the scorecards, which you can currently get at plus 460. If Pyfer does slow down to the point that he is defenseless, you can get Gastelum to win round 2 plus 2,000 and round 3 plus 3,300. Something to keep in mind. On the flip side for Pyfer, I think if he wins, it comes round 1 plus 290. But again, very tough to say considering Gastelum is one of the most difficult fighters to knock out. So maybe Pyfer tries to look for a submission here, but I don't think it comes to fruition. I'm still going to go with Gastelum and Gastelum by decision plus 460. All right, Manuel Torres going up against Drew Dober. Co-main event, very fun matchup. The UFC knew what they were doing by placing this fight in the co-main event because it will deliver on fireworks. And unfortunately for Drew Dober, I think Torres is just too athletically gifted in this spot and too powerful, and I think will allow him to either get that straight up knockout or club and sub in the first round of this fight. But you can get Torres to win in round 1 at plus 200. The under 1.5 is obviously chalked up, but I'm expecting that to end up hitting no matter who ends up getting their hand raised. I think that currently sits around minus 185. And for Drew Dober to win by knockout, plus 145. This will be a slugfest. I have no doubt about it. One or the other might try to get it into the grappling realm, but I don't think they'll have too much success in terms of keeping it there. So I think it'll be one guy going to sleep, and unfortunately, I think it's Drew Dober. And like I said, Torres, round 1, plus 200. Again, it could come straight up by knockout or club and sub, so I'd rather just take the round 1 and just hope he gets the finish in that spot. All right, main event time now. Top flyweights, Brandon Moreno looking to be victorious in front of a home crowd against Steve Erceg, who's looking to bounce back from a 2-fight losing streak that he finds himself on. I am on the Moreno side here. I think he can put together a better body of work. I think he's a better combination striker. I think he can mix it up in the grappling if he needs to. But Erceg is clearly a guy that will provide a lot of issues. His Muay Thai is very slick and crisp down the pipe. BJJ black belt usually does a good job in terms of scrambling out of bad positions, but I think it's going to be Moreno that's on the gas a little bit more than Erceg, which will eventually lead to him getting that decision victory. A much closer fight than the odds indicate, so I can completely understand the love on Erceg that I've been seeing this week. But like I said, I expect this fight to hit the scorecards. You can get minus 215 on that line straight up. A little bit chalky, but both guys very talented, very skilled, very difficult to put away. Moreno by decision plus 125. Erceg by decision plus 290. So either or, I'm expecting this fight to hit the scorecards. All right, last week we didn't do too shabby with the 3 best prop bets. Well, again, we only hit one of the 3, but it still profited because it was Colin Loughran by decision at plus 230. So we profited a little bit there on the 3 best prop bets as Parkin by decision, which I thought was going to hit. Ends up getting crushed by Tybura, and then Thaynara makes short work of Molly McCann, so her to win by decision, we have to scrap as she ends up winning by submission. Our long shot does come through for us. The first one of the year with Shauna Bannon to win by submission, coming in at plus 1,500. And just like that, we're right back into the profit for the long shot. So again, as I was saying to somebody in the comment section of last week's video, I think I only hit 6 or 7 long shots last year, but we still we're still firmly in the profit and had a very solid ROI as well because of how juicy those props that we ended up hitting were. So, I'm not expecting to hit these every single week, but if we can hit them enough, it'll be a profitable endeavor. Hence why I dropped these long shots for you guys. All right, so let's get into the top 3 for this weekend's card, the ones that I'm liking the most. We'll go first one up. Austin Hubbard by decision plus 230. The second one is going to be an alternative total. I'm hoping some of you guys have access to it. It's going to be the Jamal Emmers and Gabriel Miranda under 1.5 at plus 125. I like the under 2.5 just as much. And then Ronaldo Rodriguez by submission plus 380. The weight miss makes me a little bit hesitant, but again, that line's pretty damn good considering the type of grappling advantage I expect him to have over a guy like Borjas. And then the long shot. I'm going to go, it was a toss-up. It was either the Gabriel Miranda round 1 sub at plus 1,600 or this one, Christian Rodriguez by knockout plus 900. The one that I was able to lock in was plus 1,000 just a few days ago, but I'm going with the current odds as of this recording, and I'm getting plus 900 on FanDuel right now. So there you guys go. Top 3 prop bets, long shot, and the entire card prop drop. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the content. Yeah, that's a wrap on the UFC content for this week. I'll be back on Sunday to break down UFC Vegas 105. The entire breakdowns are already done and posted in written form on the Lock of the Night Patreon page, and I'll likely be posting those plays today as well. So if you want access to that, check out the MMA LOT and Patreon page. Otherwise, good luck on all your action this weekend, folks, and I'll see you guys again on Sunday. Peace.